Man, you guys, this OpenBeat.ai situation got crazy over the last few days. And firstly, I want to apologize. I want to take accountability because I made a video on my YouTube channel, this video right here, and I was using the software. So if this influenced people to investigate the software to where they bought into it as a content creator and then wanted to influence more people, or if you bought into the system to where you thought the OpenBeat.ai system was ethical and you bought for that reason, then I got to stand accountability. I got to stand accountable for that. Okay, so I want to first publicly say my apologies to you guys. We found out a crazy amount of details in the last amount of 2 days, and we're going to watch DJ Pain 1's video because this is really telling. So you guys probably followed the live stream that we did. If not, go watch Weaver Beats video first because that one kind of gets the ball rolling. And then I'd recommend watching this video by DJ Pain 1. I'll link them below.
This whole situation just went from bad to worse. Number one, there's some weird AI scam that's going around, and I need to put all of you producers on high alert. There's an AI scam going around that's targeting people who interact with my anti-AI content. I don't know what that's about, but I'll talk about that in a second. First of all, OpenBeat.ai has issued a public statement / apology kind of, so I want to cover that. But first, I want to talk about the proof that I found that I was looking for that shows that OpenBeat.ai has in fact been using Suno for their output. In the statement that they sent me when they talked about how their APIs worked, they claimed that they'd never used Suno. They claimed that they were unaware that Suno API even existed, and they told me that they used Marika's learning model. But here's evidence of what's actually
Okay, so he's about to go through. I'm gonna speed up the video a little bit. Now, I never really harped on the ethical aspect of OpenAI. The ethical issues about OpenBeat.ai, I never really mentioned that in my videos. But if you bought into it because you thought it was the ethical way to go, then I still got to stand responsible for that. So I want to take accountability publicly because, man, the details are adding up, you guys. And this is, I'm going to let DJ Pain 1 show what he found, but
going on. And major shout out to Alish Mazur. I think I'm saying his name correctly. I had to Google it. He sent me this information. If you're watching this, I really appreciate it. So this confirmed it for me. Check this out right up here. Here's the OpenBeat.ai.
Oh, also real quick, somebody in the comments said they asked for a refund and didn't hear back. So if that's true, then I really think that's not good business. Like, you know, somebody could buy everything from busyworksbeats.com and we're going to honor our 30-day money back guarantee. So I don't care if they downloaded everything and it's still on their computer. Like, I'm going to honor my 30-day money back guarantee. So if companies aren't doing that, you know, I don't care how much they took it as a loss, because I take a loss when people do the money back guarantee because they download from my Amazon server, which costs me money every time they download. So even though I lost money on that, it's like you got to be an honorable business person. So I don't know if that's true, but if you guys went to the platform and you feel bamboozled, you feel like they did the bait and switch thing, then yeah, it was deceptive practice. Okay, so they need to, again, be accountable for what they did, in that case being deceptive. So that's the main issue I have, is how deceptive they were being. In terms of the ethics, I never really talked about the ethics or cared. But if you bought into OpenBeat.ai because of the ethics, then yeah, they need to honor the fact that you were deceived.
URL. This links to a track that I generated way back.
And I want to say this before DJ Pain 1 goes all the way into it. Does this mean never use the platform? If you like the sound of the platform, use whatever. I can't tell people how to spend money. It's just the people who bought in thinking that was, you know, my metaphor is like, if you thought it was organic steak and they promoted it as organic steak, but then really it was like pesticide sprayed on steak, then they need to be accountable to say, you know, our stuff has pesticides, it's not organic. Now, I could care less if it was steak. You know, I just couldn't care less. I'm like, how good does it taste? So that's how I approached it. But it doesn't mean that people who watch my video didn't buy into it because of how they promoted it as ethics or ethical.
URL. This links to a track that I generated way back when I first made the video on OpenBeat.
We have got to the point.
My bad, y'all. I got the free
Output.
YouTube.
Now we go to Suno. Look at the date.
Okay, so let me run this back. So basically, he's saying he generated on OpenBeat.ai, and then he's linking it to the Suno output.
Confirmed it for me. Check this out right up here. Here's the OpenBeat.ai URL. This links to a track that I generated way back when I first made the video on OpenBeat. There's the output. Now we go to Suno. Look at the date, November 23rd, 2025 at 8:58 p.m. This is when I was recording that video. Now let's listen to this track.
The same audio.
So it's the same. And now nobody, because there was some speculation that maybe there was a hack. APIs can get hacked. Maybe a user on Suno uploaded my content and that's why it was hosted on Suno server. This is pretty clear that what I entered into OpenBeat was actually.
And I want to point out too, this is Suno V5. And Payne's account seems to have, I don't know if this is his real account or what, but, or whose account is this? I don't even know. But anyway, whatever account this is has 50 credits, which they probably aren't on a paid plan. So the fact that this is V5 shows me that an OpenBeat.ai was parading as having this high quality product because they probably understood that most people didn't know what V5 of Suno sounded like. That's the one that Timbaland was talking about that sounded like really human. And when I heard it for my own self, I was like, wow, Suno V5 sounds indistinguishable. They call it the uncanny valley, I think is what they call it. And a lot of people who are talking about Suno and hating on Suno, they're not on version 5 yet. You know, they didn't hop onto the paid plan. So they're talking about Suno V4.5, most people. So I guess what I'm saying is when people heard an OpenBeat.ai and they only heard version 4.5 of Suno, they're thinking that the OpenBeat.ai is better than Suno because they never heard the version 5 on Suno. So if this API system was pulling from Suno using version 5 of Suno, and use under some paid plan, I don't know how it worked on the back end, and then pulling the version 5 to OpenBeat, it makes OpenBeat look like it's better than Suno because, as you guys know, Suno's free plan starts at 4.5, not version 5 just yet. Now, you had to pay into OpenBeat, so it's not necessarily free, but I guess my point is like the perception of it is that OpenBeat was better, but what you're really hearing is just the version of Suno you just never heard yet. Okay, so DJ Payne 1 goes into more depth here, but let's...
Maybe a user on Suno uploaded my content and that's why it was hosted on Suno server. This is pretty clear that what I entered into OpenBeat was actually forwarded to Suno and then returned back to OpenBeat as though they had generated it. So OpenBeat did issue a statement. They said they've been operating as a hybrid model. Based on what I just showed you, I don't think that's true. They say they're going to remove all third-party APIs in question. They're going to update the terms and conditions. They'll be removing the phrase ethically trained. The whole reason I even considered reviewing their platform was because they told me it was ethically trained. They say, please understand the responsibility is 100% on OpenBeat.ai, not on any...
So personally, I think DJ Payne 1 had the best response. Bolo, you know, if I were Bolo, I would have addressed it a little bit differently because Bolo's like, I don't have to apologize, at least on his live stream last time I saw it. And to Bolo, you know, hopefully he can take my criticism as an outsider. I said, sometimes it comes off as condescending or... what's the word I use? Like we're talking down in contempt to a people because they felt bamboozled. We have to at least acknowledge that they felt some form of deception. Whether we cared about the ethics or not, some people may have bought it for the ethics. So we may have convinced them 90%, for example, whether it's Bolo's video, Ave Mcree's video, DJ Payne 1's video, Larry O's video, my video, whoever's video. So they get to the website and they go, okay, I'm convinced 90%. They go to the website of OpenBeat.ai and they go, oh, it's ethical. So I don't have to, you know, it's not evil Suno. That's what they're thinking in their head. Because this is the only reason, in my opinion, people even remotely consider this option is because it's not Suno and it's not one of these other sketchy sites. So they figured, oh, it sounds good and it's not Suno, then I'm going to sign up. So that 10%, that extra 10% is my point, is that we all drove people to that website, whether purposefully or not, with our content. And what I'm going to do is probably unlist mine from YouTube so that I don't keep convincing people. Again, it's so much to say. But long story short, when they get to the website, they're sold 90%. And then they see that extra 10% that says, this is ethical AI, at least at that time. Okay. And then they may have bought into it because they thought it was ethical AI. So now that we found out all this stuff from Weaver Beats to DJ Payne 1's investigation, you know, it's like, we as content creators have to be responsible for people going to that website because we made the content to even make this company known. It was not known. This was their rollout plan, was content creators. So we all have to be accountable, whether we said, hey guys, buy it right now, or whether we hated it. We have to be accountable because ultimately the traffic to their site that caused this customers were from us as a whole. Okay. So even though I didn't really talk about the ethics of the platform, even though I didn't really sell it like that, I was kind of critical. If you watch my actual video, I still have to take responsibility. Okay. So I think Bolo just approached it, you know, probably with an ego stance, you know, but it's like, we got to all be accountable here. Ave Mcree, DJ Payne 1, I put up videos. We haven't heard from Larry O. We definitely need something from Larry O, because this is, you just can't, it's not, again, the issue here as a content creator to people who are watching is not about the ethics necessarily. It's about the deception. It's about being told something's organic and it's not organic. That's the problem. Okay, whether you care about the ethics or not, that's not the issue. It's about the deception. So I just think that all the content creators involved should be responsible to their audience. Now, if, again, like I said before, if you guys find value in OpenBeat AI's platform and you like how they do stuff, then, I can't tell people what to do. I'm not anti-OpenBeat.ai. I just want the people who were deceived by OpenBeat.ai thinking they were buying into the ethical part. If that's your case, then, you need to go about getting your refund because that's fair business. Now, if you also went to OpenBeat.ai thinking that it wasn't Suno, then you also, in my opinion, are justified to ask for a refund. Because why not just sign up to Suno if it's Suno, So that's why I think, they need to do more upfront business. Even if they said, hey guys, we're tapping into Suno's API, if that was just publicly known and people like the results on the website, then let them decide. So that's the main thing. Just let people know and let them decide.
Of the producers, creators, ambassadors, or partners who have supported the platform. That's not true at all. I'm not going to say anyone else's name. This is on me because I made the video. That's why I apologize. And the response I even going to update.
Okay, so I found this apology letter from them kind of strange to their public statement because when Weaver Beats initially put up his video, they responded in a very weird way. They put up, I'll show you guys a little bit because it's a long video, but they basically put up an AI video response to Weaver Beats. I'll pull it up real quick. If you guys go to my Twitter, you'll find this. So this is literally what they put up on their YouTube. It's gone now, but I kept this for records and I'm glad I kept it. So it says, so I basically said, this is OpenBeat AI's response to Weaver Beats allegations on his YouTube.
Wake up! Weaver, wake up!
I'm not going to play the whole video because it's 2 minutes long.
Mom, I had a nightmare. They can't be using developer APIs.
Apparently OpenBeat.
So to me, it's coming off just like the same way Timbaland responded with those AI videos to the community. This is the same energy that this company came back with.
Is running on mystery tech. Yeah, it's called paying for APIs like everyone else. Breaking news, OpenBeat uses...
They said it's called paying for APIs like everyone else. Okay.
Using developer APIs.
Apparently OpenBeat is running on mystery tech. Yeah, it's called paying for APIs like everyone else. Breaking news, OpenBeat use APIs, just like literally every other website you've ever used. Stay tuned for more shocking revelations.
We've officially made it. Next update, OpenBeat will also fix your taxes, your relationships. I want an open relationship. Open source, OpenBeat.
Wait, what?
Weaver Beats made a conspiracy video about us.
Listen, bro, if you needed content ideas, you could have just asked.
Shawty P said OpenBeat is sketchy.
OpenBeat is sketchy. Nah, man. The real crime is some of y'all's chord progressions.
That sounds just like Timbaland's
Look at these
video.
terms and conditions. Should I email them? No, this must be exposed.
They lied to everyone. They sound so good.
One of these guys screams. I think it's him.
I knew it! OpenBeat's office is in Antarctica!
Like, this just gives off the Timbaland.
It's over!
Oh, this guy screams.
The lies! The lies!
Sorry, I turned it down because he just screams and it's super
They
awkward.
own their own intellectual property.
Who owns it?
Why are we talking about real estate?
Don't worry, our AI is ethically sourced. We caught it free range in the wild. Zero antibiotics.
Well, I didn't know OpenBeat
That's actually crazy. And then came out to say, we're going to remove the word ethical. Bruh.
was powerful enough to start conspiracy theories. We've officially made it.
Conspiracy theories. Like, bruh. I'm going to turn the music down because I don't want people claiming the video. But that was the first response. I don't know if you guys caught that on YouTube, but they put that up on their YouTube channel as a response to Weaver Beats. So I thought that was a little fishy. As a leader, that's just not how you respond to stuff, especially with these type of allegations. So, it's my critique I have for BeatStars, for example. When I made my video addressing simple things about BeatStars, the CEO, the marketing guy responded in a very immature way. And I'm like, this is your leader. Okay. So when they responded that way, something was off. And I was like, there's probably more deeper behind the surface. And come to find out, DJ Pain One finds out that the same song that was generated on OpenBeat was generated on Suno at the same exact time. This is the nail in the coffin.
Appreciate it. So this confirmed it for me. Check this out right up here. Here's the OpenBeat AI URL. This links to a track that I generated way back when I first made the video on OpenBeat. There's the output. Now we go to Suno. Look at the date, November 23rd, 2025 at 8:58 p.m. This is when I was recording that video. Now let's listen to this track.
So what you guys got to do? You got to go to Suno and look up this account name. Let me see if I can find it. 9FYSSWEF. All right, guys. So they have an account still active. Let's see if this account has. I don't know how DJ Pain One got the link to that song. I don't know how he did that. But on here, I don't know if they deleted the songs or what. But let me see here. They have personas though. So I don't know. They have a couple personas. So I don't know. It says 0 plays. Maybe they just went through and cleared everything off. But my suspicion was, what if they have you guys' songs just on their account, just batch processed? But I don't see anything here. So I guess my suspicion wasn't accurate on that one.
And now nobody, because there was some speculation that maybe there was a hack. APIs can get hacked. Maybe a user on Suno uploaded my content, and that's why it was hosted on Suno server. This is pretty clear that what I entered into OpenBeat was actually forwarded to Suno.
I want to know how he found this. Like, how did he even find this? Did he just look up the time? I need to know, DJ Pain One. How did you even remotely find this?
And then returned back to OpenBeat as though they had generated it. So OpenBeat did issue a
But yeah, in the OpenBeat apology, after the Weaver Beats whole
statement, they said
meme video that you guys just saw, then they wanted to post this public statement. I read this on a live stream, but long story short, at the very bottom, it says, we want to personally apologize to the producer community and to those who have promoted our service. First of all, it says promoted our service. Okay. Then it says Bolo, the producer, DJ Pain One, Ave Mcree, BusyWorks Beats, Larry O, Monet on the beat or Money on the beat, and others. First of all, I don't know if you consider my video promo, but I was like, why'd they throw my name in? So maybe it was a legal thing. They didn't want to throw my name in to the conversation. I don't know why they added me to this list, but yeah, I was like, I don't know.
They've been operating as a hybrid or partners who have supported the platform. That's not true at all. I'm not going to say anyone else's name. This is on me because I made the video. That's why I apologized. That's why I took accountability, because I did that. To me, this statement doesn't help anybody. And plus, it's on their YouTube page, which is strange. It's not on their Instagram page. It's not on their website. And they never addressed the Suno question. They never addressed that. I asked them multiple times via the DMs, hey, why is Suno on your site? Why are there Suno links on your API? As a matter of fact, let me show you what I'm talking about. So here's a screen recording that I took on December 5th. This is before their backend changed. You can still see Suno URLs. Damn, let me move my head. Right here,
that's
suno.ai. So on their API feed on December 5th.
Let me zoom in. So basically it says CDN, which is Content Display Network, if I'm not mistaken. Number 1, it says .suno.ai. So for the tech bros, you guys could probably, explain this a little bit deeper, because we had people during our live stream explain this way better.
There were still publicly visible Suno links. They are not addressing that. I was able to get answers. Shout out to Fex. Fex deserves a lot of credit because Fex is responsible for discovering all of this. Fex clearly knows what they're talking about. Fex broke the story, and Fex reached out to me directly and sent me this information. Obviously, I would have loved to have this information before my video, but that's, again, my fault. Forget the statement where it says this has nothing to do with DJ Pain One. This absolutely has a lot to do with me. This explains the whole API.box URL in their feed. So effectively, as I understand it, that API feed is showing you all the input, all the output, how the music is being generated on OpenBeat server. I don't know why that's public. I don't think it's supposed to be. People who know
let me run that back. He went kind of fast. Okay, so it says the link other than the what? Okay, why are there 2 links? The link other than the link for Suno is a link for musicfile.api.box. API.box is a website which runs as a service that allows people to generate content using Suno models. This is done in more of a bootleg manner and is not supported or permitted by Suno themselves. But alas, if there's a will, there's a way. OpenBeat is using API.box as a third-party API as their mechanism to accessing the Suno models. It is absolutely obvious that API.box use Suno models, so do not let OpenBeat try to claim that they were naive to this fact. When a user tries to generate content in OpenBeat, the prompt request is sent to the API box, and then API box's server sends the generation request to Suno models directly. So basically, when you're on OpenBeat.ai, when you type in stuff, all that text gets transported over to API box. API box says, bet, thank you for your request. I'm going to bring your food back, like a server, like an actual server at a restaurant. They go back to the kitchen. Turns out the kitchen is Suno. They come back and they're like, here's your organic steak that's actually not organic. So that's kind of how this goes down. All right, so it says Suno generates the audio and returns the Suno audio file link to API box. Then API box hosts that audio file on their own server as well. In case it were to get removed from Suno servers, API box then forwards both links. Wow, both Suno and their own link back to OpenBeat. And then the question says, how did I obtain this? It is/was publicly accessible through OpenBeat's public tracks API endpoint. I don't know what that is. I provided Weaver a screen recording of myself accessing this, and it features in his video timestamp. We'll pull that up in a second. And then he says, what is an API endpoint? API stands for Application Protocol Interface. Similar to how MIDI is musical instrument digital interface, API is for applications rather than musical instruments, and is what enables data to be transmitted / exchanged between applications. So let's pull up Weaver's video real quick. All right, so I think in Weaver's video, if you guys skip to the lies segment, this is where he shows the user that's talking to DJ Pain 1 with this text and everything. This is where they show their process.
We finally have our smoking gun, and this is thanks to Discord user Fex. It's been proven that these prompts are being run through Suno and then sent back to OpenBeat.ai. The website data is accessible on one of the website's public API endpoints. Anyone can publicly access the history of all generated content on the platform without even having an account via Chrome and Firefox and nothing else. And you can see what prompts were typed in as well as several.
So apparently this person, I don't know if I'm explaining this correctly, but I guess they didn't even have an account. They went to the website. I guess they were suspicious because they're like, how does this sound so good? What did they train on? So I guess they had a suspicion, and they used their tech knowledge to help you guys. So they went to the website. They looked into the Google Chrome Inspect tab, and then they found basically API requests, if I'm not mistaken. So in these requests, this is what an API call looks like. You have different like lines of different things that it needs. They call these inputs. So it needs an ID, it needs a user ID, it needs a prompt, it needs a style, it needs a duration, how long you want the song, it needs the audio URL if you uploaded any. So basically it just needs a bunch of stuff, okay? And then it sends all that stuff over to that API box company, and they sort it out, and then they send that over to Suno, the real dealer, and then Suno gives them the generation, and then API box packages it, sends it right back to OpenBeat.ai. So that was how this worked. And it allows people who, again, Suno doesn't have an API that I know of. Okay. So I guess people created like a hack to get into Suno to generate stuff without actual technical API. Because if they had the API, it's like, why even go to Suno? You could just go anywhere to access Suno stuff. So that's why. Anyway, so this is what they're showing on the screen.
Several different download links. Then we scroll down a little bit, and this long hip hop prompt has 2 URLs for the audio files.
Sheesh, man. Okay, so a prompt though. This is the question though. It says the prompt has an audio file for Suno. So I don't know how that's, if it's going as the input and not the return.
One of which goes to music file, and another that goes to a Suno website. Busted, dare I say? The theory is that these prompts are being relayed to Suno and then being downloaded and re-uploaded to a different website before being sent to the user. So not only does this appear to be a non-ethically trained algorithm.
So I don't know the tech stuff. I don't know if that API is a request or if it was the receiving part. See, I don't know. I don't know enough tech to even know. But that's why DJ Pain 1's video is like the true thing, because he literally found the file on Suno. So you can't say Suno didn't generate the file when it's on Suno. I would love to know how he even found the fact that it was on Suno.
Appreciate it. So this confirmed it for me. Check this out right up here. Here's the OpenBeat.ai URL.
So even though Weaver Beats had the initial information, I think this information makes the most sense to the average person.
Links to a track that I generated way back when I first made the video on OpenBeat. There's the output. Now we go to Suno. Look at the date, November 23rd, 2025 at 8:58 p.m. This is when I was recording that video. Now let's listen to this track.
So that to me is the most obvious. You know, the other stuff you kind of got to know how APIs even work. All right, now let's let DJ Pain 1 continue.
Use them, as far as I know. But if you use a third party like API.box, look at this. We provide APIs for the latest AI music models, including Suno V5.
Wow.
Suno V5 is exactly what is visible in that screenshot I showed you earlier, the screen recording, where it shows.
So I don't know if you guys understand this, but the reason in OpenBeat.ai put out that video where it says like every company uses APIs. I mean, that is true for the most part. A lot of companies, they build interfaces and then they just use other people's actual software and they kind of compile it all together in one big box of stuff. So that's kind of how a lot of internet businesses run. The difference here is that Suno, from my understanding, didn't even have an API. And let me look that up first. All right, so according to Google Gemini, it says no, Suno does not have an official public API for developers. The company has stated its focus is on its consumer-facing web application and the new Suno Studio, not on being a model provider like OpenAI. However, a robust ecosystem of third-party and open-source solutions, has emerged to fill this void. Unofficial API options. Developers have reverse engineered the private API used by the Suno web app to create their own services. These unofficial options include third-party services. Various platforms like Kai.ai, sunoapi.org, and API Box, offer wrapped. So wrapped means they're basically re-rocking it, okay? Offer wrapped developer-friendly access to Suno's capabilities, including the latest v4.5 and v5 models for a fee. So again, like what a lot of developers do is they'll just use the horsepower from a real company like Suno, and they'll re-rock it to make it look like their own platform. But really, they kind of rely on the technology of a Suno in this case. Now, again, the issue that we have is not if somebody did this. The issue was they said it was ethically trained. That's the issue. The issue is that they deceive people in the marketing. That's the issue. Now, if you did this for your company, whatever. Now the people know, but it's just like be upfront about stuff like that. So this says open source projects. Projects are available on GitHub. That allow you to self-host an API by using your own Suno account credentials and automating the process. It says important considerations for the unofficial APIs. Using an unofficial API comes with several caveats. Terms of service violation. Accessing Suno's service through an unauthorized channel is likely a violation of their terms of service. Instability. This explains a lot because I remember I went on the OpenBeat site and stuff wasn't working and the server went down magically, and it was just like all this stuff just wasn't working. I'm like, why is this so inconsistent? So instability, a future update to the official Suno website could break these reverse engineered APIs at any moment without notice. That explains that. Legal risks. While paid Suno plans grant commercial rights to the music generated, using an unofficial API adds a layer of legal ambiguity, especially given ongoing lawsuits in the AI music space. It is recommended to consult legal counsel for any major commercial projects. And then lastly, it says authentication. Many of these solutions require you to extract your user cookie from the Suno website's developer tools to authenticate requests rather than using a standard API key. I don't know what that means. So the gist here is like, look, it's like, it's like putting on a sheep's clothing, but it's a wolf underneath. It's like, bro, just tell me you're a wolf,
My song that was purportedly generated through OpenBeat, but was in fact actually generated through Suno. And the link between OpenBeat and Suno is this website, api.box. OpenBeat is using api.box as a third-party API as their mechanism to access.
So this explains the lifetime thing, because I remember I was like, how can they charge lifetime when I know how much power it takes to generate AI stuff? So I figured, okay, maybe they figure, people aren't going to generate as much stuff over a lifetime. I'm like, wouldn't you lose money? Even if somebody paid $200, I'm going to generate thousands of songs. So that's going to tax their server. Come to find out, they were kind of betting on the difference, the same way banks kind of bet on the difference. They call this the spread. So, for example, if I charge you $200, and here's the sinister part, because they probably thought they would get so many users that they wouldn't need to care about the lifetime cost of the user because they're going to get so many people. And the main thing is, don't position it as like anti-Suno or the ethical version, because that's what was bringing in a lot of people, in my opinion. So the API calls, it says to generate on V5, it only costs them credits per call, 12 times. Okay, so about 0.06 cents, or no, 6 cents per call. So let's do some math real quick. So if I did my maths right, you guys can correct my math if this is way off. So you pay the $200 at OpenBeat. Let's go to their website to check their prices. All right, so the website is still up. They still have Larry O on the front cover. They still have Ave Mcree on the front cover. They still have Bolo on the front cover. That's actually kind of crazy, in my opinion. They also have Jay Black on the front cover. So as content creators, again, if you're going to apologize, you also got to remove the influence over people who are coming to the website thinking that this stuff is ethical, especially if you mention ethics in your actual video. Okay, so y'all got to be more responsible as content creators. That's why I'm going to do it actually on this video. All right, so I have a couple videos that mention OpenBeat.ai. One is called Which AI Music Generation is the Best? This video is actually doing pretty good, but guess what? I'm actually going to turn it off, privatizing that thing. If any part of your video was sampled to create a short, it's still available on YouTube. or what did it say? You'll need to delete your video or opt out of Shorts permission. Okay, well, guess what we're gonna do? Live. We're gonna delete this thing just to prove to you guys that this is not about revenue. Let's see how much revenue this video actually made, first of all. This video made me 80 bucks and got 16 subscribers. That's pretty substantial. So we're gonna go ahead and delete this. I'm gonna have to redo this video today then, because that was a pretty good video. The funny thing is about this video, I didn't even talk about OpenBeat.ai because I couldn't log in. And then at the very end, they text me back to give me a login. So whatever, we'll redo that anyway. So we are deleting that. I'm not even downloading the video. I don't need it. And the other video was, let me find it. Here it is. It says new AI music generator, OpenBeat.ai. This video has 13,000 views. It always shocked me. Like, how are they getting so many views on their videos? This video made 100 bucks, y'all. Just the video. So if I ever influence people to go to the website and you guys honestly thought it was ethical AI and you just bought in because of that purpose, then I need to be responsible and delete the source. Delete. It's gone. So you guys just saw me do that in real time. So on OpenBeat.ai, they still have their website up. Probably not even acknowledging anything. They took away the prices, which is kind of weird. The pricing used to be right on the front. All right, let's see where the pricing went. Oh, because I'm logged in. Okay, duh. Where's the pricing? Plans, overview, and upgrades. Sign up now. Where? This is super weird. Where is the pricing at? Did they get rid of the pricing? Can people even buy into it right now? So this is kind of weird. I can't tell. Maybe if you make an account, then it pulls up prices. I don't know. But the crazy part is this says patent pending on the daggone logo. Meanwhile, they're just tapping into Suno on the back end, according to DJ Payne 1's research. So I don't know, y'all. This is just a whole big mess. Okay, let's continue with DJ Payne 1's video.
Suno models is absolutely.
Oh, here's the math. I forgot to pull it. So basically, if you paid 200 bucks for the full lifetime access, if you divide it by the average cost of 6 cents per API request that they send over to Suno, then essentially the user can generate up to 3,300 generations before it cost OpenBeat.ai any actual money. Now, the thing was, the platform was so slow. In order to generate 3,000, songs, that would take you 3,000 times. Like, it took me 5 to 10 minutes sometimes to generate a song. So 3,000 times 5 minutes is 15,000 minutes. Let's see how long that is. 15,000 minutes divided by. Now, this is on the good end. So for you to even remotely get to that amount of generations, you would have to spend 250 hours back to back to back on that website. So they're banking that you don't spend that much time on their website. Okay. And that's the tricky part about that pricing that I always thought was a little sketchy, like lifetime. I don't know any AI companies that are generating stuff from their servers offering lifetime outside of Higgsfield, because they use what are called APIs. So that kind of triggered my thought in the API conversation, because I'll show you guys. If you go to Higgsfield, for example, and then I'll look at that video in a second here. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so you guys see here, it says Nano Banana Pro and Kling, unlimited access, meaning lifetime access. Okay. And that's because this platform basically uses APIs to talk to the actual models that they're pulling from. So Higgsfield is just a dashboard essentially that helps me organize all these AI tools. So when I heard that OpenBeat.ai was offering lifetime, it kind of triggered the thought, like, that isn't that what Higgsfield does, is the middleman? So then it questions your head, like, okay, if Higgsfield is the middleman and OpenBeat.ai are doing the same marketing, doesn't that mean that OpenBeat.ai probably is the middleman? So if they're the middleman, who's the API call being sent to? And that kind of had a subconscious thought in my head. I never brought it up in the video, but that was a subconscious thought for sure.
Obvious that API.box uses Suno models, so do not let OpenBeat try to claim that they were naive to this fact. This is what Fex is saying. When a user tries to generate content in OpenBeat, the prompt request is sent to API.box, and then API.box's server sends the generation request to Suno directly. Suno generates the audio and returns the Suno audio file to the API.box, and then API.box hosts that audio file on their own server in case it were to get removed from Suno servers, and then they forward that back to OpenBeat. How did Fex obtain this information? It is/was publicly accessible through OpenBeat's public tracks API endpoint. I provided Weaver a screen recording of myself accessing this, and okay, so this is confirmation. Fex did provide, this is how Weaver got that information. What is an API endpoint? API stands for Application Protocol Interface, similar to how MIDI is Musical Instrument Digital Interface. APIs for applications rather than musical instruments. Why is it publicly available? APIs are most commonly used within website. A website should, however, be mindful.
So basically, I read that. Okay, so I'm going to skip ahead because I already read this. Now, the part I didn't read is, why is this publicly available? APIs are commonly used with websites. A website should, however, be mindful of what information is being disclosed, especially publicly to unauthenticated users. It says, I put this down to negligence and inexperience OpenBeat's part, as there were other examples of information disclosure vulnerabilities that I encountered on their website. This was not regarding personal information disclosure, though. Then it says, how did I obtain your user ID? So this is what I was wondering too. It says, I watched your video and observed the prompt you entered in for generating audio. It says, I then looked through all of the prompts requests on the OpenBeat public tracks API, found the request that matched exactly your prompt, and then listened to the audio corresponding to the prompt request to confirm that it matched the audio you heard for your generation in your video. Whoever sent him all this information, we need you on the team. You need to be our private eye, because there is so much stuff we get, so many questions we have for you. Why is OpenBeat doing this? Because it is profitable. The service API box charges 6 cents per suno generation. He says OpenBeat are betting on the fact that given they charge $60 for lifetime access, the average user is never going to make 1,000 generations. This number comes from the fact that the rate that API box is charging OpenBeat per suno generation is roughly 6 cents. So 6 cents times 1,000 is $60, which I just did the math on, especially with their $200 plan. OpenBeat might only need to pay for $10 worth of API.box credits for each user and then pocket the remaining 50. All while OpenBeat deceive their users to falsely claim that they are ethical and that no user content is used for any training. It's just insane, y'all. Like this, oh my goodness, y'all.
This API box charges $0.06 per suno generation.
Again, the point here we're trying to make to an OpenBeat and to everybody else is like, it's not about the ethics and the backend API. That's the technical how-to. We're talking about the deception. Like, you can't be like, yo guys, I sell organic beef and then it has pesticides and it's not even organic. You can't do that. You know, that's the part that people have a problem with. All this other detail is just confirming that they were being deceptive. So I just want to make that clear.
Beat are betting on the fact that given they charge $60 for lifetime access, the average user is never going to make 1,000 generations. These are his calculations and his theory as to why OpenBeat is doing this. So because I made a video in which I complimented the output of what was essentially suno, what was actually suno, at least in one case, does that mean I'm now a fan of unethically trained?
So basically he gives his opinions from this point on. So I want to thank DJ Pain 1 for this video, because this video really gave what we needed to make this make sense to the average person. Weaver, we got to thank Weaver because he initially got this whole conversation started and dropped a mega bomb on his channel. Go support his channel, like the video, and share with a friend. Do the same thing with DJ Pain 1's video, because these two make everything make sense. Again, addressing the content creators, you guys don't have to answer to me. I'm just saying, you guys saw how I apologized, and I basically never really even promoted it heavily like that. But you got to be accountable for the fact that we're the only ones who had access to the back end. People weren't signing up just to try out this new generator that they've never heard of. So the fact that we made content made it on the map, okay, put it on the map. So regardless of if you think ethics are good or bad, if you influence somebody to go to a website that was being deceptive and they bought in because it was deceptive, you have to be accountable, because we all drove traffic to the website, whether we tried to or not. So Bolo, I think, definitely needs to apologize to the producer community, especially for the people who were deceived. I understand our egos are big and that we feel like we don't have to answer to people, and that, we could just, it's not about the ethics though. It's about the deception from the company. So DJ Pain 1 has apologized. We want to thank DJ Pain 1 because that was definitely the best move in my opinion. Ave Mcree made an apology video. So shout out to Ave Mcree. We're still waiting on Larry O. I definitely think Larry O should definitely apologize, because this just compounds on some of his other perspectives on things. And people already kind of, when you're pumping up FL Studio stuff like it's the greatest thing ever, it's just like, and it's not, you got to be a little bit accountable. So especially on this case, if people bought in because they trusted you. Same thing with Bolo. So Larry O and Bolo, you guys definitely, I recommend, need to make a video about an apology video. Again, it's not about our ego. It's about the fact that we were the only source of traffic for this company. So literally the only customers they had were from us, literally. So we don't know who sent who over to the website and who bought in because of it. But like I said, if anybody bought this software because you thought it was ethical, you need to go to the company and demand a refund. Not ask for a refund, demand a refund. And if they really try to get gangster with you and say, no, then you need to hit them with the chargeback, because this is actual fraud. okay? Because they lied to you guys saying it was ethical, saying it was some whole other system that it wasn't, okay? And DJ Payne 1 just proved it. So if that's the case, you guys need to get your money back if you care that much and if you felt like lied to and deceived. So those are the first people that need to go to OpenBeat.ai, and OpenBeat.ai needs to do good business and just consider it a loss. It's only 6 cents per API call. The chances are the platform was down half the time, so people didn't even make a bunch of API requests. So if you lost 12 cents per person, yeah, you got to take that L for the customer, okay? Again, does this mean never do business with OpenBeat.ai? No, it just means now that you know that they're not this ethical platform, now you can go in with the proper mindset, knowing what you're actually buying. Even if you don't care that they're pulling from Suno, it's just whatever you guys want. If you like the idea of unlimited generations, then buy into it. Because Suno, I don't think has that option to where you could get unlimited. So at least currently, I don't think so. Okay, so that was the first person that needs to go ask for a refund. The second person that potentially needs to ask for a refund, again, the first person was if you felt deceived thinking it was ethical. And the second person that needs to ask for a refund is if you thought this was its own proprietary model and not Suno, because you could have just went and bought Suno. If that were the case, you could have just bought Suno. So the fact that they re-rocked Suno and said it was something way different, you know, according to DJ Payne 1, I think that second person is justified for a refund. And again, if this company is playing games with you guys in the emails and dodging you and all that, you have the right to use your bank's force and, you know, do a chargeback if this company is not doing the right thing. But do the request for the refund first, because it costs a company money when you guys do chargebacks. So I know you guys want to stick it to the man and make them really feel it, but I don't recommend you guys just start doing chargebacks because it costs them, I think, $20 per person every time you do a chargeback. That's on top of the refund. So I'm not trying to cost this company more money. I just want them to be accountable, get on the camera and be accountable and talk to the people. Like, don't put up AI videos and a screenshot of a sheet saying we apologize. That's not an apology. Okay. So I think they need to do all the above. I think Bolo needs to make an apology video. Larry O needs to make an apology video. OpenBeat.ai needs to make a apology video with their face talking, not on a freaking piece of paper. I think they need to offer refunds for people who felt deceived that they were buying into ethical AI. I think they need to offer refunds for the people who bought in thinking that it was its own proprietary model, even though it wasn't. Okay. Those are the people who I think need the refund. Now, everybody else who still enjoys it and thinks it's better than Suno, hey, well, is it Suno underneath the hood? Maybe just like Suno. Come over to Suno, gang. All right, y'all. That's all I had to say, but I'm not mad at the person who put me onto OpenBeat.ai. I'm not mad at all. It's not personal. It's just you got to be accountable as a man. Like, take the L. Like, don't do all this sneaky stuff and then just not be accountable. All right, y'all. Peace.